in Mali is the first story.
And Montenegro, I was trying to avoid that, ruling party has declared their leader Milo Dujic.
Good. All right, making 4 term in a straight role, and I mean he's staying to power like an African leader, of course. All right, let's go to Pakistan to tell you that 2 deaths have been killed and disputed area in a skirmish with Afghan forces.
Protesters in India seek justice of rape victims.
And U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, talking about Nikki Haley, has hinted that U.S. Army will stay in Syria until their goals are achieved.
And the UAE has disbanded program in Somalia after their plane was seized in Puntland.
All right, let's go to the sporting arena. The biggest story in the sporting world is what occurred in the English Premier League yesterday, where Man City have been declared champions of the 2017-2018 EPL season after Manchester United lost 1-0 at home to West Brom. And a very, very, very sad story that the Manchester United that stopped them from winning the title just barely a week ago has just gladly handed the title to their noisy neighbours.
Okay, that's football. Anything happens in football. But at least Manchester is second on the table. I was able to see the table, Man U second, Manchester up, and I'm like, okay, we're not doing
Manchester.
bad. We're not doing bad. All right, PSG has won their 7th French League title with a 7-1 win over Monaco.
All right, that's another champion in the talking about the French League. Let's get to know Nigeria.
Okay, so how well do you know Nigeria? Now, Nigeria took its first loan from the World Bank. And I will add that ever since then, they have been taking loans.
All right, Nigeria is currently the biggest economy in Africa. Some say it's debatable, perhaps South Africa also running for that top shot.
The name Nigeria is derived from West Africa's longest river, River Niger.
Now you know why we have a lot of issues, drama, 1 week, 1 drama. Nigeria is said to have the highest paid legislators in the world.
Just a reminder, Nigerians are football lovers and the Nigerian football game is called the Super Eagles.
Yeah, talking about our darling Super Eagles getting set for Russia 2018 World Cup. I'm sure they're going to fly truly high. All right, let's tell you that in 1851, 10 million sandal pairs and 5 million hides for export every year.
Why isn't that happening anymore?
Lots of issues.
Okay. All right, let's go to knowing Africa. How well do you know Africa? It's not just enough for you to know Nigeria. You need to get to know Africa. It's our great continent. Over 90% of all malaria cases reported worldwide come from Africa. Every year, 3,000 children die from the disease.
In Swaziland, Africa, one in every 4 adults is HIV positive. No good news.
I thought you said you were going there for one of the vacations when you are likely going to have one. You said you were going to. Please don't. All right. Till date, over 17 million people in
Southern Africa
have succumbed to AIDS. Estimates put the current number of HIV infection in Africa at 25 million people.
Oh, South Africa. All right.
Okay.
16 countries in Africa record higher rates of vaccination than the U.S. alone.
And that needs to be asked, why? The Second Congo War, which began in 1998 and lasted until 2006, claimed the second highest number of casualties, that is 5.4 million lives. After World War II, the conflict involved 8 African countries.
Okay, this is a place.
You're talking about the World War II. Are we seeing a World War III coming up after what happened with Trump in Syria? Are we likely to see something like that coming up?
All right, we'll be counting on the United Nations and other world international bodies to, play the middleman and ensure that Trump doesn't get us in trouble.
But that reaction from Trump, what do you think of it?
I think, as usual, when Trump is always fisty whenever.
That was too extreme.
But you should expect more. But we just hope the United Nations and other international organizations, play the peaceful role just to ensure that the world is truly safe.
Okay. Now this is the flip and the flap and the flip and the flap. Okay, which agency in Nigeria is saddled with regulating the film and movie industry?
It's called the Nigerian Film, Video and Censors Board.
Cheating, cheating, cheating.
But I was correct.
All right, which agency?
No, my turn.
Okay.
Which agency
Okay.
in Nigeria is responsible for survey and poll data collation? Quite easy, especially when you know the two top most corrupt agencies in the nation.
Okay, you know what's happening right now to me? I actually know this. You know that point where the answer is here, but it just can't come
You're
out.
talking about national, and you're talking about the bureau stuff?
The statistics.
Okay.
Exactly.
So National Bureau of Statistics is the answer.
Now, who became the Governor General when Nigeria was
Formed.
formed?
Okay, we're talking about Lord Lugard.
Why is the answer on my head?
All right, Lord Lugard is the answer. All right, which is the smallest state in Nigeria? What two states are going
The
for
other
that
day
top
you
prize?
said Lagos, right?
Was heard by us.
I heard you say Lagos
Okay.
some time ago.
So which are you sticking with?
I didn't call anyone. I just said only one. So why are you asking me which one am I sticking with? This is you being mischievous.
No, it's me being clever by half.
But that doesn't show clever at all.
All right, I will stick with Lagos State as the smallest state right here in Nigeria. Not forgetting Bayelsa as also one of the states that has been fingered as probably the smaller state than Lagos. All right, I will be going for a quick break. When we come back, we'll be looking at all the big stories making the rounds on Nigeria's national dailies.
Welcome to Living Treasures Academy. Enjoy a conducive and serene learning environment. Qualified and experienced teachers. Equipped computer laboratory and library. Secured atmosphere. Extracurricular activities. An all-embracing curriculum for total development of the child. Comprehensive education for leadership. Join us today from crèche to secondary levels. Living Treasures Academy, committed to excellence.
Nigerians have tested political parties, religion and age. It is time to get a bridge builder to heal the wounds. Hassan Dan Kwambo. Under your watch as Executive Governor of Gombe State, you have been able to manage the state's resources in view of the numerous projects so far completed and the low statutory federal allocations accruable to the state. With your landmark achievements in healthcare, youth employment, women empowerment, road infrastructure, pipe-borne water, security, education and agricultural development, we are sure of a better Nigeria. 2019 is not about power or change, but rather it is about Dan Kwambo to replicate his humility and servant leadership. Dan Kwambo, Nigeria. Nigeria, Dan Kwambo.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents once took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria.
Alright, welcome back from that quick break. You're still watching Africa's Finest Breakfast Show, Daybreak Nigeria, on television, Nigerian. My name is Anthony Momodu. Still here with my co-host, Cynthia Agbo, as we look at the big stories making the round on Nigeria's national dailies. We've got the points, the leadership, Sporting Life, Nations Newspaper, the Blueprint, and definitely Daily Trust for review. We kick start with the Punch newspaper. The big stories there, starting on page 7 and 55, says Obaseki imposes 90-day ban on grazing in Edo communities. Taraba government army disagree over withdrawal of forces. We've got Governor Badadu Akeredolu lead APC convention committee. That big story on page 10 of the Punch newspaper. As regards 2019, we've got Obasanjo Falaye meet in Abeokuta tomorrow. Big stories on page 10 of the Punch newspaper. Court OK suit seeking CCT chairs removal. Find details only on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. Noxas Buhari says he hasn't done too badly. Page 7. And you can be your own judge, PDP tells Mr. President. And the picture story there is parents of missing Chibok schoolgirls praying for the release of their daughter kidnapped by Boko Haram insurgents during the mass to mark the 4th anniversary of the abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls. And also the other big stories that says 5 killed, 50 houses destroyed in Kogi communal clash. Find details on page 55 of the Punch newspaper. And we've got Hope Not Lost on Chibok girls. Leah Sharibu says, talking about the Senate President. And we've got court members raid police station, free suspects. Find details on page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. Buhari Tinubu meet in London. That story is on page 55. And we've got defective networks, 22 electrocuted in 3 months. Find details on page 40 of the Punch newspaper. And many of my appointees betrayed me after I lost election, says Fire Me. And find details only on page 26 of the Punch. All right, let's begin from Edo State. Says a 90-day ban on grazing communities. Do you think this is just a political put of a policy by the state government? After 90 days, what happens?
After 90 days, the ban will be lifted up
Then
and the grazing continues.
So what's the essence of
Perhaps there are certain things he wants to check, there are certain things that needs to be curtailed, there are certain things that he needs to find out, and so that is why he's putting that. And what were you expecting that after 90 days the ban will be lifted? Of course, you know that's not going to be possible. So.
All right, let's go to Buhari. Says he hasn't done too badly. And the PDP, of course, says you can. Is it possible for the president to be able to assess himself? He should have that liberty.
Well, you know, it's just like the popular saying. So it's just the same happening here. I feel the president is in a position to say, if he does that means he's acting right now like Trump, that feels that, okay, I'm not doing that bad, but it is not you to rate yourself. It's not you to assess yourself if you're doing bad or not. It's the people. It's the hunger in the land. It's the suffering. It's everything that is going on that should be able to speak and say, okay, if you've done well or you've not done. If you've got a man in a family that is taking care of the family very well, you will know from when you say the kids and the wife, you will know. He doesn't have to say, I am doing well. Everything shows for itself. So I don't think he should even be rating himself so far.
Okay, now you know, Mr. President. All right, let's go to the other one, saying hope not lost for the Chibok girls. Do you agree with the Senate President, the federal government, or the people, the parents of the Chibok girls?
Well, I was reading something over the weekend, and I saw a place where I stumbled on a place where contrary to what we have been fed and told, I saw that they said only 15 of the Chibok girls are actually left, not even the number that we've seen, that we've been told. And it kept me wondering, and I was like, what's this supposed to mean? And I said, okay, I'm still going to find out again. So when I'm done with that, I will come back to that. So I feel that whatever is being said right now is it's looking it's more like the more you look, the less you get to understand what is really happening. So these women, these mothers out there are just praying for innocent children that they feel are somewhere. But what if they're not even? What if they're even in this Nigeria? What if they're even in this Abuja? What if so many things are not just right? So.
All right, so we've got the federal government come out to debunk that insinuation by Sakida, a journalist based overseas, who said it was only 15 of the Chibok girls that were still alive.
They were still alive.
In the coming days, we get to see who is right. It is the journalist or the federal government of Nigeria. Quickly, we've got the courtist raiding a police station and freeing suspect. What does that tell us about? Is it courtist overpowering policemen at the station? That's
of course, you know that this cultists, they are very radical in their moves. They believe that if they want something, they don't care how they get it. And so you never can tell if they have some of their people over there at the police station. And so they need, and they don't mind. Then you know, there's this popular thing we have locked up in our head. We didn't plan to have it, but it just started over time that the police is, sorry to use the word, weak. So anybody can just come in and do whatever they want to do, but I don't think they can try that in any other place.
All right, hoping the Inspector General of Police, Rahim Idris, to call his men to order and see how that could be sorted out. 5 killed, 50 houses destroyed in Kogi communal clash. A very sad commentary. Hoping, what will be your expectation as regards how the state governor should address that particular issue?
Well, I would expect him to, first of all, get to the community, see how he can foster peace among them, get to know what the problem is, because if you don't know the roots of something, if you don't know the reason behind something, if you don't know what the problem is, you can't be able to address. So I expect him that, first of all, after paying a condolence visit and people that lost their families and all of that, he should get to find how he can have peace talk with these communities and see where they can go from there.
All right, let's go to the next paper.
Yes, and even though there is nothing on headsmen there, I saw something very disturbing yesterday. I saw a headsman who had actually, when I saw it, who had a machete with him, and I was like, he had a stick right here, and there was a machete there, and he was, grazing his cattle, and I thought to myself, I thought these guys were meant to move with sticks, but I've seen one that has a machete. So I think that if we look very well, if the federal government looks very well in this Abuja, if we look very well, we will get to be able to catch these people. They are there. They are there. Catch them. All right, so let's move on to the blueprint this morning. The big story here: wicked people plundered our resources. This is coming from Buhari, and he says that my government has done well. And tell the world your true performance. This is coming from the PDP. You'll find that story on page 6. Now, on page 6 also, we have looters. We can't be intimidated. This is the federal government speaking. Also, we have a picture here of Buhari and Ahmed Tinubu. And also, we have a story on page 20, why I criticized my husband's government in 2016. You remember what led to the other room? The other room,
she also said that at a point she said jackals and cheetahs had taken over the kingdom.
Exactly. Would you say that she actually knew what she was talking about?
Yeah, definitely. The first lady, very intelligent, smart lady. Obviously, she knows what she's talking about. Just for if you take in what was happening at that time when she made this comment, you could see that things were truly not going the right direction. And every time her comments came out, it got the federal government up and doing because they knew that someone was talking from within. And it also gave the Nigerian people, the media, a very good view of what was going wrong in the villa and helped us put more pressure on the federal government to be more accountable and to do the right thing. So she's been playing a very strategic role for Nigeria and Nigerians from the other role.
And would you say that this is more like the first time we're having a first lady or wife of the president who does not really support the activities of her husband?
The only other first lady that probably could cross our mind for her being up there could be Obasanjo's wife, Stella Obasanjo. Remember Miriam Babangida? Those were first ladies that were truly outstanding. They gave us something to look forward to. If they were not criticizing their husbands, they were doing something to cover up the lapses of government's administration.
All right, SRP to churches, leaders, now needs your prayers advice. You find that on page 6. And Northern Political Summit to address distrust in polity. This is Kasai. This is on page 5 also. A 16 billionaire fraud ex-IGP Ehidero has case to answer. This is ICPC on page 29. Najam conducts UTME in UK, South Africa, 6 others. That is on page 7. The Gaydam disburses 300 million naira furniture loan to civil servants. That is on page 20. It says a strategic move.
Yeah, it feels more like 2019, very close by.
Okay, and Niger seeded dogs journalists over refusal to divulge story source. Do you think?
I think that plays against the rules of engagement, especially when it has to do with media profession. We have every right to not reveal our source of information unless it's inimical to the security of the country, which is obviously not. So I think NUJ and the relevant bodies should do the needful just to save the life of that journalist.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the leadership newspaper. We've got the big stories that says Ghana to pay $100 million gas debt owed Nigeria. You can find details of this big story on page 6 of the leadership. We've got PMB strategizes ahead of 2019, meets Tinubu others in London, find whatever the expectations are on page 5 of the leadership newspaper. And we have continued to create innovation solutions. Jim Ovia speaks, talking about the banking sector. Right, did it need the president, Ahmed Tinubu, to strategize only in London? It couldn't be done right here in Nigeria.
The disturbing part is thinking of Tinubu and thinking of the president. Those two, I'm kind of thinking, because I used to think that they were not really best of friends, but it seems like everything has changed. I used to think they were not very good.
In politics, it's a permanent interest, not friendship. You're very right, because when President Buhari took charge, at a point he made a case where he said people should stop referring to Tinubu as the national leader of the APC because officially he wasn't. Then suddenly, somewhere along the line, now we're seeing Tinubu being given the task of reconciling the APC and leading them towards 2019. So it just tells you a lot of things are fishy when it has to do with politicians. But
one thing, whatever it is, although what they are going to be discussed, not everything will be brought out to us. But do you think that Tinubu might just be that perfect ally for the president come 2019? Or do you think he's going to leave him hanging at a point where he needs him the most? Because don't forget that Tinubu is also part of the in quote, the party by Obasanjo. It's not really party per se, the third force, by Obasanjo. But I know he's also part of that. So do you think that Tinubu is just trying to say, okay, I will follow you, but I will leave you at some point where you need me the most?
Well, it's something we have to watch and see how it plays out. But obviously, Tinubu has been credited to be the main man behind presidents getting to power. And so him playing this very key role at this point and also tells you that the president has some bit of trust and that he could deliver. But in the coming days, we're going to see if the third force is going to distract these two gentlemen or if it's going to make their love stronger. Time is definitely going to tell.
Because I can see a paper where he's all smiles, and even the president also is, all smiles.
Has half of the $1 billion hit your account.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, so the nation this morning probe Buhari group to Saraki why our ban cannot stand. And senators to stick with Omo Agege, fear over Adamu's likely suspension. On page 3, you will find the APC gets convention committee and the Jigar governor is chairman. Now, suspected headsmen kill 5 in Taraba. That is on page 9. Otom's aid transfer papers forged, says police. That is on page 3. And Man City crowned EPL champions. You find that on page 47. Looters did not cover tracks well, says the president. You find that story continue on page 6. Buhari Tinubu meets in London. That is also on page 6. Nigeria has received $14.2 billion from World Bank Group. That is the story continues on page 9. My point is going to be, what is this money going to be used for, or what have they used this money for? $14.2 billion from World Bank. And we have not seen anything yet.
Well, I think it will only be fair if we go to the MDA who these monies were released to, then we can probably be able to tell if the money has been used rightly or wrongly. But that's a tax we have to, compare.
Okay, Otam says transfer papers forged, says the police. What do you think of this?
It just shows you how criminal people could be, regardless of what position they hold. But this also should make the governor a little bit worried. If you have your aide having forged papers, then you should as well look inwards and look very carefully whatever transactions is carrying out for you and on the behalf of the state government, because it could be very, very dangerous.
Looters did not cover their tracks well, says the president. Don't you think he's, in a way, saying something that we are not really listening?
Obviously, no matter how smart you are, there's always a trace for people to follow. If you don't follow the natural trace, the forensic will go scientific. And so probably that's why the president is saying they didn't cover their tracks properly. Well, I think we thank God they didn't cover it properly. If not, we wouldn't have been able to discover this ills going on.
But something is actually disturbing. Now, the rate at which the president is talking about the looters, is he trying to absent himself?
Okay.
And the other people in the APC? Does it mean there's no looter in APC?
Obviously, you cannot say that, but we have a lot of APC officials or people appointed by the APC government who have questions to be answered from the EFCC, and also Nigerians have heard in the past how they mismanage funds. One clear example is going to Rotimi Amechi, the Minister of Transport, who has a lot of issues to answer, but because he's on the other side of the divide, it's not being followed up. And at the same time, it also goes to tell that probably the president does not have credible things to show that this is what we've done. So rather he goes the other direction, talking about looters, talking about what the past administration didn't do right, or rather than telling us, okay, this is what I've done, this is reasons why you should vote me back from 2019.
Well, we're still watching, and we hope that the 8 million pieces will be collected and used.
All right, just the last story we didn't take on the leadership, which says Ghana to pay $100 million gas debt to old Nigeria. My big question is, who has let it go up to $100 million not paid?
Well, if you ask me, what am I going to ask?
All right, so head should roll if the culprits are obviously found, but that's the last story we didn't take. But let's go to the sporting arena. The big story is that Manchester City champions of the 2017-18 season. Congratulations to Manchester City. They were awesome. 18 straight win in the season, 240 days on top of the league. That's awesome. They broke the record as having the highest possession passing accuracy in the league by having 81.113%. That's awesome. And I think congratulations, they did everything just right. It's just sad that own not noisy neighbors had it over the top each other, and it's very painful. But champions and Man City for Premier League. We've got Jolobi. I rejected Italy for Nigeria. Talking about the Super Eagles midfield maestro saying he rejected Italy for Nigeria. And I've got 2019 under 17 African qualifiers. Mano Gaba dismisses Ghana threat. We've got Russia 2018 World Cup, 6 days to go. Federal government 2.5 billion naira for Eagles not ready. And it says CAF's cash used to prosecute Nigeria's friendly games. Glasshouse last subvention of 72 million was in July 2017. We've got Eagles doctors to assess Nazi transfer of Turkey midfielder is in Nigeria. We've got Madrid win without Ronaldo and Bale, and Arsene Wenger defeat to Newcastle, story of Arsenal's season. And we've got Mourinho admits Manchester United failed. And Man City to pounds on Mbappe. Those are the biggest stories on the sporting arena for today. Talking about Monday, April 16, 2018. Go out there, get your sporting life, and read more about your sporting heroes.
How come you didn't mention the 2.5 billion?
Yeah, I said it. Federal government 2.5 billion for Eagles not ready. Mentioned.
Not ready. I like the 2.5 billion. You know that money's been called. I like it.
Do you agree with the United?
No. We
the trophy over to Man City.
Doesn't mean that failure. We're not a failure. No, failure is not in our dictionary. No matter how many times we might lose a game, we're not failures.
All right, that's the true Rebel fans sticking there. Okay, let's go to the Daily Trust.
All right, so the last paper, Daily Trust, the governor heads APC Convention Committee, that is on page 3. Meningitis, cholera kill cause in casino communities, that is on page 4. Depot pipeline maintenance gulped 167 billion naira in 13 months. You find that story on the front page of the video. And Buhari, I haven't badly, that is on Yakasai Wakuna Abasik IBD support for new group, that is on page 6. And you can't be intimidated over Luther's list of government, that is on page 7. When you are in a hole, stop digging. This is something you will love to read.
That line looks catchy.
It's something you would love to read on the back page of the Daily Trust. And the sports report, Rivers United extend Nasarawa United misery, that is on page 54. Edmond loses maiden ATP Tour final, and also Torres scores 100 La Liga goal in Atletico win. That is Fernando Torres. That will be all on the Daily Trust this morning.
All right, so that's how we'll wrap it up on all the big stories making the rounds on Nigeria's national dailies. We'll be going for another quick break. When we come back, Daybreak Nigeria would continue.
Treasures Academy. Enjoy a conducive and serene learning environment. Qualified and experienced teachers. Equipped computer laboratory and library. Secured atmosphere. Extracurricular activities. All-embracing curriculum for total development of the child. Comprehensive education for leadership. Join us today from crèche to secondary levels. Living treasures admitted.
To Hills, Hassan Dan Kwambo. Under your watch as Executive Governor of Gombe State, you have been able to manage the state's resources in view of the numerous projects so far completed and the low statutory federal allocation, land and empowerment, road infrastructure, high-borne water, security, education and agricultural development. We are sure better Nigeria. 2019 is not about power or change, but rather it is about Dan Kwambo to replicate his humility and servant leadership. Dan Kwambo, Nigeria. Nigeria, Dan Kwambo.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite this, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents want to control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will start nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today, or get ready to a ruthless message for equality and human rights in
Alright, welcome back from that quick break. You're still watching Africa's Finest Breakfast Show, Daybreak Nigeria on television. Nigerian. I am Anthony Momadou and Big God.
Alright, my name is Cynthia Agbo. And we were supposed to discuss a collection of PVCs. A very collection of PVCs.
Talking about Independent National Electoral Commission coming out to say Nigerians 8 million PVCs have not been collected, and this is called for a cause of concern for Nigerians, especially when Nigerians keep saying the present-day government hasn't done well in the economic and other sectors of our national life, and it now surprises you that as much as 8 million PVCs have not been collected, and you now want to look at what are the reasons why these PVCs have not been collected and the consequences of it not being collected. What it means is that the ruling party, which you say is not doing well or hasn't delivered in the health sector, in the financial sector, in security and all that, would keep being there because you've not collected your PVCs, so that you have the franchise, the right to vote him back or vote him out. And so the other aspect is also looking at on the part of INEC, what has INEC done right to ensure that people know that there's a serious need for people to go there and pick their PVCs, and how convenient has INEC made it? How close are the units for people to go, the polling units for people to go there and collect their PVCs is another very strong reasons. And also we are discussing with some electorates, they've also come out with the story of INEC officials not being on ground when they get to those polling units to do the needful. And so it just tells you that INEC, the Nigerian electorate, and every stakeholder in this political arena needs to do their own part in order for everything to come together as a whole. So it's still calling on Nigerians to go out there, collect your PVCs. It's very important. That's the only way you can choose the right leaders that would lead us come 2019, and also gives you the right to vote out those who you think have not been doing well. And for people of Kogi State that are pushing for Dino to be recalled, for instance, if the recall process does not see the whole hog and the Supreme Court hears the prayers of Dino, it means that process is going to be called short. So this is going to be an opportunity for them to be able to recall Dino by having a PVC so that you can choose the right leaders.
On the other hand, have you looked at it from the flip side, where it's not like the people want to actually allow the people who you say, okay, have not satisfied you in terms of security, financial, and otherwise. I don't think that I'm speaking from the angle of an average Nigerian right now. Don't you think that we're actually tired? But we just feel that our vote doesn't count. We've always heard several times when they say a vote count. In fact, it's more like a regular jingle that plays during this period where it's okay, your vote count, or go out, get your PVCs, your vote count. But at the end of the day, we still find situations whereby, in the real sense, our vote doesn't count, because whatever wants to be done will be done. Whoever wants to read will still read. So how dare do you say that after queuing under the sun, just to get this PVC, because it's not like a supermarket where you can just go grab what you want, pay and go. This one you have to queue, because there's a lot of people waiting to get their PVCs. And so after I have queued under the sun to get my PVC, and then let me say I suffer to vote, and then my vote doesn't count.
All right.
Something's done. So the average Nigerian man is tired.
It's time. That's where I said it's the task of INEC, the political parties themselves, their agents, to try to change the narrative, try to change the mindset of Nigerians to legally that votes can actually count like it counted in 2015, when Nigerians, I personally was focused in the Panama Street of Ottawa, right here in Abuja, where we made sure that after the voting, people had to put on their car lights. Some persons, Nigerians, brought down their generators to the polling units just to ensure that there was enough power supply for the votes to be counted. And so we don't hear stories from INEC officials and all that. And so that was a commitment Nigerians had in 2015. And it was awesome that it showed APC winning an incumbent government never happened in Nigeria before. That tells you what people's commitment can do. So yes, I know Nigerians have this mindset of saying, okay, our votes doesn't count because when they want to rig, they're going to rig it. But let's don't forget that the EU observers have already started talks and seminars with INEC and political parties and the agents to ensure that the vote of the electorate count, in the sense of ensuring that the polling units in strategic areas where people can have access to. That's one. Okay. And second, making sure that the card readers and those who are going to print them are well trained. Like in Ebonyi State, 2 weeks back, we had INEC had started training of INEC officials as regards how to make use of computers, card readers. That's going to ensure that those parts of the deal were taken care of. If that is ensured, then it's now left for the political parties with their agents to ensure that each process, they've got the agent watch it. At the center in the INEC office where coalition is being done, we have all party agents there who are watching carefully. You have the EU observers, you have the EU observers there. So this group of people are meant to watch and ensure that INEC do not play games with us. Already the good things are statistics, the National Bureau of Statistics has been up and doing. Now we know how many Nigerian voters have registered, how many PVCs are yet to be collected. So once we have these details, it's now left for the Nigerian people to also keep their own records to say, okay, if you told us 8 million PVCs have not been collected, or XY has been collected, for example, we know that 20 PVCs have been collected in total. So when the voting comes and counting begins, you cannot tell us we have 1 million people and at the end give us a result of 2 million people. Then we know it's definitely rigged. And also recently we had INEC with the European Union carry out a probe as regards underage voting in the northern region of the country. The fact that INEC admitted that there was underage voting and went ahead to probe that process means there's some bit of sincerity on Mahmoud Yakubu's led INEC to ensure that the right thing is done come 2019. So if we put all those indices together, then technically you're going to say Nigeria is beginning to want to ensure that the elections in 2019 is credible.
In your words, technically, would you say that 2015 election was fair and fair, devoid of rigging?
Technically, if you look at the footage that came from the northern region, where we could virtually see underage voters voting, casting electronic printing, then obviously it's not free and fair. But the truth is, all over the world, no election is completely free and fair. If you've got 70% free fair elections, then you've gotten it right. In the US elections, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, there were a lot of cases. We know how strategic Florida remains in the US elections. Every time the election is almost done and dusted, Florida seems to be a very unique case that decides which way the election is going to sway. Trump's case had to do with college voting. That was where the difference was made. If not, Hillary had more. So it tells you for every client, there seems to be a very strategic at that state or place or issues that determine how it goes. So altogether, the electors, the Nigerian citizens, INEC, political parties, they have a very strong role to play to determine how free and fair this election is going to be, to determine also if the votes are going to count. And the only way that people can make their own case count is get PVCs, ensure that the 8 million uncollected PVC is collected. Then we can say we're good to go. When the voting starts, then the pattern of whether it's religious or ethnic is, we can now deal with that.
I might sound like a doubting Thomas.
No, you're sounding like someone who has gone through lots of issues in the past and so is yet to be convinced.
No. I'm actually sounding like an average Nigerian, a normal Nigerian out there who is watching right now and is thinking, if INEC come out to tell us that we have 8 million PVCs uncollected, now INEC can still also come out and tell us, oh, we have 2 million PVCs left. So out of it, some have been collected. Okay. Now, the same INEC can also come one day and tell us, oh, we have only 500 PVCs left. They are the one that I and you cannot ascertain how many PVCs.
No, we can. We have the right to ask questions. INEC is a public institution.
Exactly.
We have the right to ask INEC. We would like to see a database. How many PVCs have been collected? How can we confirm that these PVCs were actually collected by Nigerians? And just to forestall what you were trying to think about, the fact that in the U.S. elections we have Russia having interfered in the elections tells you that no one democratic setting is completely without any interference. So if the U.S. can suffer from interference from Russia and other nations also, then you should expect that Nigeria has to be more alert and do not say that you don't expect any bit of rigging to come into play. But also, we have to also call on PDP, who seem to be the most viable opposition party. They have to play a very key role to ensure that party agents have eagle eyes put on INEC and all the polling is just to ensure that the rigging process that they are alleging to occur does not happen, because already they have written to the EU and other world bodies to alert them to the fact that the APC and the INEC are planning to rig the elections. That is a very strong message to pass to the international community.
Let me cut you a bit. In a country where we have papers being forged, in a country where we have people printing certificates, in a country where we have a lot of things happening, people can in just less than an hour, I can have an ID card of any company I want. In a country where all of this happens, now what makes you think that INEC cannot give us a proof that 8 million people have collected their PVCs?
If they give us a proof that 8 million people have collected,
meanwhile it's not actually true,
then there should be forensic ways. There are other countermeasures which the electoral body, each political party, the European Union can go through to confirm if it's true or not. But we're talking about forensic investigation here, and the EU and other international bodies definitely have their A game when it has to do with forensic investigation. And don't forget, the political parties, opposition parties like PDP, are well poised to ensure that they are not rigged out of power. And so what they're going to do is to put all stops together just to ensure that they know how this game is played. They've been there for 16 years. So technically, what it means is that they know the loopholes where I is likely to follow through if there's going to be any form of rigging. So that's going to be an advantage. That's one of the things the new political parties could count on. And don't forget, days and weeks heading to the 2019 general elections, we're going to see major political parties that will be sharing information, intelligence and all that. Those are things that would be used as a stopgap just to ensure that INEC does not leak to the maximum. And also the fact that if
a little.
that's if it's something you have to give it to INEC. They've tried to portray themselves as being a very neutral, unbiased body. First of all, the fact that they had the officials arrested, prosecuted for collecting bribe in the Rivers and other elections. And also we also worked with the Anambra elections as regards money changing hands between APGA and other political parties, which observers did come out to say and made INEC more aware of some loopholes which they experienced. So we're hoping with all these and the fact that they're going to be using card readers, which is scientific, IT related, means technology is going to help us curtail some of those loopholes we've seen in the past.
Okay, let's talk about 2015 and let's talk about 2019.
All right.
These are very important years. One is the past, one is the future. Now we saw the reaction when we discovered that President Jonathan lost and giving way for President Buhari. There was feeling for someone like me. With all honesty, I never had anybody in mind. I never supported anybody. I just thought, okay, let the good one come. That which is ordained to help Nigeria, let it come. Okay, so now we saw Goodluck Jonathan giving us that meek and gentle spirit, devoid of violence, being so calm at the result, taking it as it comes. And we saw the other party jubilating, and of course they hugged, and everything was fantastic. Now, are we likely going to see that in 2019 if
Is it a reverse of the result?
If there's a reverse of the result? Let's imagine that whoever comes up and the president on ground has a leave. Are we likely to see any reaction that is not like what we saw in 2015?
All right, you're going to get the answers to this very interesting question after we go for a very quick break. When we come up, we'll be talking about what is likely to be the answer if we have a reverse of results.
Okay.
Welcome to Living Treasures Academy. Enjoy a conducive and serene learning environment. Qualified and experienced teachers. Equipped computer laboratory and library. Secured atmosphere. Extracurricular activities. And all-embracing curriculum for total development of the child. Comprehensive education for leadership. Join us today from crèche to secondary levels. Living Treasures Academy, committed to excellence.
Nigerians have tested political parties, religion and age. It is time to get a bridge builder to heal the wounds. Hassan Dan Kwambo. Under your watch as Executive Governor of Gombe State, you have been able to manage the state's resources in view of the numerous projects so far completed and the low statutory federal allocations accruable to the state. With your landmark achievements in healthcare, youth employment, women empowerment, road infrastructure, pipe-borne water, security, education and agricultural development, we are sure of a better Nigeria. 2019 is not about power or change, but rather it is about Dan Kwambo to replicate his humility and servant leadership. Dan Kwambo, Nigeria, Nigeria, Dan Kwambo.
For almost a decade, The Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents were in control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that territorial peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria.
Information remains the bedrock in every stage of development. It develops both the human mind and the society at large. Television Nigerian is here to avail you with that information you need for all-round development through its mind-blowing programs such as news, talk shows, health and safety, governance and politics, sports, entertainment, kids, documentaries, finance, global happenings, human disposition from childhood to adulthood. It's a manifestation of what you see, what you hear, and say. Tune in and stay tuned to TVN, Television Nigeria, broadcast beyond boundaries.
All right, welcome back. It's still Daybreak in Nigeria, right up on television Nigeria. And of course, before we went for that quick break, I was asking Anthony, as a way of him running away, yeah, I was asking him reaction, body language, general reaction from the winner, from not loser anyway, but from the person who's going to be going down, and from Nigerians. Is it going to be violent free? Is it going to be mature? Is it going to be what is it going to look like?
A lot of factors will determine what the reaction is going to be like. If we take our minds back to 2015, when the results started trickling in, it was obvious the election result was going towards the favor of the APC candidate as of that time, talking about President Muhammadu Buhari. And you look at the other flip side, Goodluck Jonathan also had gone through very turbulent 2014, 2015, heading to 2015, and he had a lot of issues. And there were a lot of stories, news broke as regards a lot of weapons, ammunition that was coming into the country in readiness for the 2015 elections. And we all as Nigerians were aware of the comments made by some very strategic leaders of the northern axis, saying, okay, if the president didn't win the 2015 elections, there was going to be bloodbath in the country. We even had the then president make some very damning statement while campaigning as regards what was going to happen if 2015 didn't go his way. And so I think it was only wise for then president, talking about Goodluck Jonathan, having seen the handwriting on the wall, knowing that if he didn't do it that way, as in come out to congratulate the president-elect, probably there was going to be violence across the country, which wasn't going to end well. If you notice, after his tenure, he had a lot of international awards, recognition for how his comment just killed the likely uproar that would have, faced Nigeria. So, if you look at also his personality, he's known to be very calm and calculated, and also even though in some other affairs they tell you he's not rigid, he's not action-packed and all that, but everyone cannot be the same. Every leader has his own style and technique, and the way he rose to power in 2005 to 2006, while I was serving in Barrister, that was when he was the deputy governor, and we saw how he rose from Alamosia, going abroad, and got in court and all those issues. He became governor, and before you knew, he was vice president, and Yaradua passed on, he became president. And so his case was like had the hand of God, not Maradona's hand of God this time around in Mexico 86, but this time the hand of God playing a role for him getting to where he got. And so I thought probably he would have thought about it as, if God saw me this far, this way, with so many very miraculous situations, then I could as well let him have it and see what happens. But at the end of the day, probably for those who were ready for mayhem, it also caught them off guard, because what they wanted, situation they wanted to cause mayhem, didn't come, and so it saved Nigeria a lot of crisis. But taking it back to 2019, it's going to be a very tough one. President Buhari, we know he's got a military background. He's got a lot of sycophants around him. This is likely she's going to be his last time out if he's going to seek for re-election. So it's going to be it's going to be a very strong test for his morality, how true he truly loves Nigeria. Because if the elections come and he doesn't favor him and he decides to stay put, then obviously we know that Buhari sincerely doesn't love this country, because if he's staying put, it's going to cause more crisis. Then we'll expect him as an elder statesman that he's supposed to bow out peacefully, knowing fully well that in 2015 someone did that for him to save the country. And that should be the expectation of every Nigerian. For the international body, world, that's going to be another strong factor that might help him probably decide not to stay put, because if he knows international countries are not going to back him, are not going to support him, then probably he's going to think twice. And that's if the sycophants around him tell him the truth or allow him reason to see that it's time for younger people to take the mantle of leadership. Let's look across the world. We have younger leaders in France, in New Zealand, and other countries of the world. It's only in third world countries or countries that seem not to want to develop that puts their leadership on older persons. He's going to be 80 and more by the time if he wins 2019. Do we need a grandfather to be a leader? Yes, they say some older leaders have done well in some other parts of the world, but we know this leader. We know that his health is not fantastic. We know his wife has raised issues about jackals and cheaters taking over the kingdom. Her husband not being in charge of running the government. So it gives you an idea that when his health issues come into play, then it's going to be a big crisis for us. And in 2019 going forward, where our population is estimated to be hitting triple our size in 2050, we do not need a leader who wouldn't be there for us. We need someone who is younger, more viable, more technologically inclined, someone who's not going to go every time he visits the outside world, he's going to tell them something bad about Nigeria, how our past leaders have looted us, how Chibok girls. We need a leader who is more charismatic, who is going to be saying more positive things about the future, talking about Nigeria being one of the big players in the United Nations Security Council. Those are the kind of things we want to hear about Nigeria, gone in for, not gone in to release a Chibok girl. Those stories, those are the narrative we need to change.
Sure. Now, before we go to something in the education sector, something so disturbing. Now, how is that could be displayed on the screen, but it cannot. Now, precisely June, thereabout, 2014/2015, during the time of a campaign and, of course, the election year, going towards the election year. Now, the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, posted something, and he said that if by 20, if they are voted in, that is ABC,
right,
if they voted in, and things have not changed, now Nigerians should bring out their scorecard, and vote them out.
All right.
Now this is 2018 already, and 2019 is
pre-election year.
It's pre-election year. Now, do you think? Already, you mentioned sincerity, you mentioned moral standing, you mentioned all of that. Already, the scorecards is shown. We have seen that the things you promised us are not there. Don't you think that it's already a dent on his moral standing for even declaring for his second term? Because these are the same people who said, if we haven't settled security, because which was one of the problems we're having then, finance, a lot of other issues that we're having then. And now this is the time where you're supposed to say, okay, I said this to you, I promised you this. Now I have not really delivered in all of this. Let me now take a bow. So what else do we need to have a justification of the moral standing?
Well, like they say, he has the constitutional right to seek re-election, but at the same time, it also tells you that human beings are human beings, and politicians, all they have is permanent interest, not permanent friendship per se. Yes, he remember very vividly, he said he was going to seek for a second term. But now he's doing that. It tells you how intoxicating power could be. And obviously, he cannot tell me he's the only right man to lead this country, because if he drops dead right this moment, someone will definitely continue. So it just tells you the greed of also African leaders who want to keep being in power. We have seen over time that he has not, all the promises they give to us, from the 5,000 naira stipends to the power supply, increasing power supply, to the security, to the economy, to everything, virtually everything there is. They've not kept to their words. Rather, they kept telling us about how the PDP has stolen monies, keep comparing the debt we're having in Taraba, Benue, to the debt that was during Goodluck's era. So it just tells you this is a party who has not succeeded. How easy they thought it was going to be transforming Nigeria. They came into power and saw that it wasn't that easy. So all they have to do is start blame gaming and all that. I think the president has made the work easier for Nigerian electorate. we've seen everything from the strike actions to the endless fear queues. The last promise he made was after the Christmas, he said they were going to deal decisively with those who caused the fear hoarding and all that. At the end of the day, what happened? We didn't see that. They told us about releasing a list of looters and all. They never did that until the PDP challenged them, and they thought it was strategic because it was a pre-election year. Let's release the list, and that's what's going to put a dent to the PDP and any other personality that was going to come out for 2019 elections. But at the end, the game plan didn't work. Instead, Nigerians now knew that, okay, the release of this list was just meant to smear certain persons, but not because he truly wanted to be transparent by telling us who had swallowed our treasury. So
I don't really see. I really did not see it that way. I saw it as the release of the list made Nigerians more happy.
Yes, no, it made Nigerians happy, but I'm saying on the part of the APC, they thought they were going to harm the opposition, but it ended up being to the favor of every Nigerian, because now we could tell that they would have released this list, but they on purpose didn't do it because they were keeping it to be as an ace for them to use politically. So it tells you they're not separating politics from what Nigerians are going through.
What I said happy, what I meant was it made us happy. Now we now got to know that, okay, yes, these people are looters.
But we know the people in the list, we know them already as looters. We were just waiting
and
officially.
We were happy when they're looting. Like, things were not as expensive while they were looting.
No, we're not happy we were looting.
Did you even, now let's be realistic for once. You know, you were aware, you knew that certain things are not right. But the standard of living was not so bad.
As compared to this. Yeah, just over the weekend, we had the Archbishop of Sokoto State talking about Kuka came out to say the northern region has not been as impoverished as it is right now than so he meant Buhari was doing bad. But the sad comment of what he said was the fact that the North was still going to vote for him the second time around because they felt that Buhari was the only person who could knock their northern leaders to shape or bring them to book.
They thought.
And no, they still believe he's the man that can knock the leaders to book. And that's why they also embrace the Sharia law, because the Sharia law gives them the right to punish their elites and their leaders. So they still believe Buhari is the only just man amongst the northern leaders who can actually get this done. And so when such comments are coming from someone as vocal as Kuka, it tells he's giving a true picture of what the northerners are thinking about and what we're likely to see in 2019 general elections. So,
has he forgotten that when the righteous rule, the people prosper?
All right, that's debatable. Some will tell you, for the Nigerians that are prospering now, they tell you the man up there is righteous, but time, situation, and whatever we're going through, tell. But
let's go to the Polytechnic, that is the Federal Polytechnic in Afikpo, Ebonyi State, where we have a situation of, I would call him a young man, talking about Dave Cario, who has been, Victor Cario, sorry, who have been demoted for 8 years due to the outrageous demand of the Polytechnic.
Yeah, I think it's actually the federal government in 2007, they come up to say for lecturers in the university, they should have an additional master's, foreign master's certification for them to keep their job. That was in 2007. And I think the school, the Polytechnic, Federal Government Polytechnic in Africa, now went a step further to do their own thing. Victor is saying he applied for him to be able to go for trainings and all that, but he wasn't. It wasn't approved. And he made mention of the fact that it was because it was Igbo principal.
And he is from Nasarawa State, which here. So
it just tells you how people suffer injustice in the country because of ethnicity and all that. But the sorry part of it was that the school wrote, despite the Attorney General of Federation and the Ministry of Education writing to the school to say reinstate Victor Kueo as a lecturer and all that, we had
Ministry of
the school,
Education.
yeah, we had the school writing to counter that, to say they should ignore the letters from the Attorney General of Federation and the Ministry Head of Service. So the question is, how come suddenly a school could have the guts to write to say they should disregard a letter coming from the Attorney General of Federation's office?
We should not forget that the Ministry of Education also is having their back. So, because from the report, the Ministry of Education also have their back on this. They're also a major people country.
And I think that's a picture of the protest that took place in the Akanubiam Federal Polytechnic right there in Afikpo.
I must say it is really, really sad, because if not everyone have access to get to the procedures in getting a foreign certificate these days is not that easy.
Aside that, I think it's a big slap on the Ministry of Education and to the entire Nigerian education sector, because when you say you have to get a foreign, are you saying that Nigerians are not capable, or are you putting down our own certification? And secondly, the school, we have to look at the role of the school in trying to deny Victor from getting the required masters the federal government did mention in 2007. Like he said, he had written for 2 years.
2 years.
He has been denied that opportunity to go outside for further training to become a better lecturer. And the big question is, why would they do that? Are you trying to just victimize him because he's from Nasarawa State? But at the same time, let's be sincere. This same picture plays out in the northern region. Those Nigerians from other parts of the country who are in the northern region suffer the same fate. So it's just something that the education sector, the emergency has to be called for in the education sector so that this can be, cleaned up. But thank God we hear the new management of the school is looking into this issue. So we are hoping Victor Correio will be able to have a chance to get back to his work. Yes. So that he doesn't stop being a Nigerian like he has written to Mr. President. He
tends to renounce being a Nigerian citizenship. Now, I must say that this issue didn't just start here today. Right from time, we've always had cases of, down to even when you're writing JAM, we have cases of catchment area. Yes. And you will see there, you say, okay, catchment area. If for example, for someone like me, now when you are supposed to, you're writing for University of Calabar. Now we have catchment areas as Uyo, that is Akwa Ibom State. We have Ebonyi as a catchment area. We have we have a rivers catchment area. And so now when you are from, I think about catchment 5 states surrounding Calabar. All right. So now when you are from any of these places, that is meant to be your catchment area.
Easy admission.
So yes, so they first of all attend to people after the people from Cross River, they attend to those from Akwa Ibom, and then they go to Ebonyi. Now, I really want to say that it is really, really bad. It is really sad, because whether we all talk about one Nigeria. So whether you are from the south, east, or west, whether you're from, even if you're from Niger Republic, it's not meant to be that, okay, if you're not from this place, or if you're not from the catchment area, yes, you're not supposed to be there, or people now start treating you like, oh, like the word I like to use, social level. People start treating you like because you're not from here. And like you said, it's also in the north, because I remember before I went to Calabar, I was also in ABU Zaria. I was also in Unijust, and I discovered that you are made to feel like, oh, because you're not from the north, we cannot attend to you. Specifically in Unijust, then I wasn't even allowed to write my exams. It was that bad. Right. So I would say that the Ministry of Education needs to really do something about that.
All right, and for the University of Jos, I would like to say one or two things. I think the University of Jos has been fair enough in terms of taking other, regardless of your experience. I'm not saying it's like fantastic, but they've been fair enough to take other citizens from other parts of the country. For me, for instance, I schooled at the University of Jos. I'm from the south. Okay. I have seen lots of people from Lagos and other parts of the country in University of Jos, and I think that's what makes such institutions different. Because when you take virtually diverse people, it makes your institution better, because you're having all the best minds from different parts of the country. Exactly. And at the end of the day, when students graduate, they're going to be carrying your name wherever they go, and that's going to be a plus for the institution. So I think the Nigerian institutions should take away that very archaic mindset of saying this institution is meant for people from just this state or this catchment areas. Yes, they did that in the past because they were trying to encourage people from those localities to go into school to educate their people. That's why that policy of catchment areas came into being. But now that things have changed, times have changed, I think that policy should be jettisoned.
Exactly.
And a free for all, let the best minds come to your school and do the best. So we'll be put our fingers crossed and looking at the Akanu Ibiam Federal Polytechnic right there in Afikpo in the Ebonyi State to see how the issue of Mr. Victor Koroyo plays out, to see if the president would reply his letter, because he has said, that's Victor there on your screen, saying that he wants to denounce his citizenship as a lovely Nigerian. We do not want that because he's a very awesome addition to the Nigerian economy. Being there demoted for 8 years is bad enough. And we hope that the Minister of Education, Adamu Adamu, can come into the picture. And also we hope that the President, regardless of the pre-election year, he'll be able to reply the letters of Mr. Victor so that we don't have him leaving Nigeria and going somewhere else.
And I think this is the right time for Mr. President to show us that he really cares for the Nigerian people. Yes, it's also going to be a score point, once this is addressed. Because there are several times, according to Victor, he has thought about committing suicide.
That's
and
very
it's
sad.
It's really, really frustrating.
Yeah. I want to say a big thank you to one of our producers here, talking about Mr. Noah, who brought our attention to that very big story, very important story, and we'll be watching that story keenly to see what happens in Afikpo in Ebonyi State. Hopefully, in the coming days, we will be able to get one of the leaders of the Ebonyi community to see his views on this very interesting story. We do not want any Nigerian leaving us anytime soon. We need all the good heads we can get just to ensure that this country is truly great. We'll be going for a quick break. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up Africa's finest breakfast show, Daybreak Nigeria.
Welcome to Living Treasures Academy. Enjoy a conducive and serene learning environment. Qualified and experienced teachers. Equipped computer laboratory and library. Secured atmosphere. Extracurricular activities. An all-embracing curriculum for total development of the child. Comprehensive education for leadership. Join us today from crèche to secondary levels. Living Treasures Academy, committed to excellence.
Nigerians have tested political parties, religion and age. It is time to get a bridge builder to heal the wounds. Hassan Dan Kwambo. Under your watch as Executive Governor of Gombe State, you have been able to manage the state's resources in view of the numerous projects so far completed and the low statutory federal allocations accruable to the state. With your landmark achievements in healthcare, youth employment, women empowerment, road infrastructure, pipe-borne water, security, education and agricultural development, we are sure of a better Nigeria. 2019 is not about power or change, but rather it is about Dan Kwambo to replicate his humility and servant leadership. Dan Kwambo, Nigeria. Nigeria, Dan Kwambo.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents once took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria.
All right, welcome back for that quick break. It's time for Africa's finest breakfast show to reach the closing part of the deal. But before we do that, something interesting occurred over the weekend for the lovers of Destiny Child. It was awesome seeing those girls back as a group. And
those ladies, women, mothers.
Sorry, from Destiny Child, there were girls, now they're women.
No, they're women. I must say that it was, if there's another word for
fantastic, awesome,
magnificent.
Okay.
Like it was.
There's a word. The word is magnific.
Oh my God! Now Beyonce, she now for the record, she is the first black woman to be a okay. Now, so of course,
and she deserves it.
And she deserves it. Now, I wasn't when I got info of that particular performance to take place. We know our very own Nigeria Whiskey was to also perform there, but due to visa issues for the band, he couldn't make it. But it wasn't really the absence wasn't felt that much because Beyonce was there, Cardi B was there, but Beyonce's performance was the highlight of it. Now she performed for 2 hours. And in that 2 hours, she came out with 3 different outfits, and down to the color of nails.
Which one did you prefer? The yellow?
No, I actually preferred where she was looking like a goddess.
It had to be that one.
You know, it was the details, and I got info that prior to that day, she had fired 24 of her dancers.
Oof.
Just to tell you how disciplined she rehearsed for 11 hours daily. That's to tell you how disciplined she is. Now,
it reminds me of a commitment we put into Daybreak Nigeria.
Exactly, yes. Now, down to the color of her nails, at each performance there was a change.
Oh boy.
The makeup, there was a change.
It's a fantastic team.
That is, it just now, I must say that there are only 2 people that can give you such grand performance. One is late, one is still alive. Talk about Michael Jackson, and right now we have Beyonce. There is no debating about that. Now, the truth is, some people might want to say, no, that's not true. But bring out any person that can put up such a performance. Beyonce is not just an artist. She's not just a musician. She is a performer, an all-round performer that cannot... There is no dull moment.
I think she's taking all the glory. We had Michelle there, we had Kelly there.
No, we're going there.
And they were also awesome. And I think I like the fact that the Destiny Child group is seeming to want to come back.
They're not seeming to come back. You know, Beyonce is a very strategic woman. Beyonce is that artist that has the mindset of a business person. Now,
Yeah, with Jay-Z behind you, you have no choice but to have
exactly.
that.
Now, don't forget that in that her performance, we also had Jay-Z. We also had her sister Solange, also one of the performers came on stage to join her. Now, so that she has thought about it. Okay, how this is something she has spent months to plan ahead. Now she has thought, she has started to think, and that's why I think in Nigeria, this is one of the things that our Nigerian artists here should also try to emulate. Now she has thought, for 2 hours I'm going to perform. What would I do? What can I do to keep my audience glued to me for 2 hours? And she said, okay, fine. The people would love to see the Destiny Child. It's going to be a big surprise, like what we had towards the end of last year, where Davido and Whiskey came together to do a fantastic performance at their different shows. Now, so she came and I said, okay, what can I do to make this performance a grand performance? I said, okay, fine. Definitely my husband will be there. That is going to be another plus 10. And then Solange, my sister, should also be there. That's another plus 10. And
plus
then
5.
what? Okay, plus 5. Plus 5.
Sorry,
okay.
I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. And then what is going to wow the audience?
Wahoo.
Wahoo, exactly. And she thought, okay, fine. If I bring the Destiny Child, it is what they're never imagining. Now, the last time we saw Beyonce and Mitchell doing something was when they sang this song, Say Yes.
Say Yes.
Yes, where she had that song, Say Yes, where we had Beyonce in that song.
Oh,
now, but
okay.
we've not really seen much of them, just in, beats, one here, but seeing them on stage together, looking fantastic, energy, the synergy,
Electrified.
It was an electrifying moment. Only that we're not electrocuted. Right. But I must say that it is something that every single Nigerian artist, especially the females, I know some artists who are saying, okay, they are the they are the Beyonce of Nigeria, Beyonce of Africa. For you to be like Beyonce, you must be able to pay attention to details. That goes a long way. Now, I was reviewing her performance. Just so that by 9 we'll be having the news. But I was reviewing her performance, and I discovered the Nigerian women, Nigerian artists should learn from that.
All right, that's well said as regards Beyonce and the Destiny Child group. They are very electrifying, awesome performance over the weekend. Not to forget Gold Coast 2018, talking about the Commonwealth Games that also wrapped up over the weekend. We want to say congrats to the Nigerian contingent. Came out 9th, 9 gold, 9 silver, and 6 bronze medals was all they could get for us. But congratulations anyway, and big congrats to the Aussies, talking about Australia, who came out massive champions with a total of 198 medals in total, and we have Britain coming second with a distant 136 medals. Congratulations to every Commonwealth nation that was there, and to the Team Nigeria. I want to say congratulations for doing us proud, and most importantly, not being Team Cameroon that had to disappear into Australia and the police in search of them. So we're very proud of our Nigerian contingent, and we're truly African, truly proud. And that's how we're going to be calling a wrap on Africa's finest breakfast show, Daybreak Nigeria. My name is Anthony Momodu, saying special thank you to the entire production team, from Donald, who is the studio manager, to Mr. Noel, the IT, awesome, and Josh, also awesome, and the cameraman, truly awesome, Mr. Philip, and the entire production team right here in Television Nigeria. We're saying thank you very much. Good morning and have an awesome day. Cynthia has the rest.
Now, do not forget to join us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Television Nigeria. Follow us on Facebook, Television Nigerian, and on Twitter and Instagram is TV Nigerian. My name is Cynthia Agbor. In everything you do, don't forget that life is very sweet. And of course, you cannot climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pocket for a change. The news will come up by 9.
Good morning. The headlines: Nigerian Army arrests masterminds of Taraba crisis. Taraba government shocked over withdrawal of military from troubled areas. Voters in Montenegro cast ballot in landmark presidential elections. These and more stories to come. I am Anthony Momodu with the AM News on Television Nigerian. The Nigerian Army says it has arrested the mastermind of the killings in Taraba State. Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Texas Chukwu, says troops on exercise Ayam Akatuma had on April 12, 2018, arrested Dan Asabe Gassama and Danjuma alias American in connection with the killings and uprising in Takum and Usa local government area of the state. The two spokesmen said the suspects were arrested following intelligence that they were the coordinators of the several attacks on Fulanis and other locals. Chukwu explains that preliminary investigation identified the individuals as key players in killings and uprising in the affected places. The Taraba state government is expressing shock over the alleged sudden withdrawal of military contingent deployed to enforce peace and security in southern part of the state. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity to the Governor, Bala Dan Abu, laments what it described as unceremonious withdrawal of soldiers from the operations. The statement also expressed surprise that no reason was given for the withdrawal, insisting that the state government was not notified. In the same vein, the chairman of Bonga Local Government Council, Nashuka Ikbeyen, says the soldiers deployed to trouble spots in the local government started pulling out around 1 a.m. on Saturday. Ikbeyen explained that on receipt of the information, he quickly contacted the commanding officer, 93 Battalion Adabarak Takum, Lieutenant Colonel Ibrahim Gambari, who confirmed the withdrawal of the soldiers. The local council chairman decried that the Army GOC said that no soldier's life would be put on danger in view of reports that some villages were to be attacked by suspected headsmen. The Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Bishop Matthew Kuka, says that the last of, according to Kuka, the Hope Sierra Law vanish their elites have officially declared his intention to join the Ekiti State governorship polls. He announced his ambition in Ado-Ekiti, the state capital, promising to restore the state to its former glory. According to him, he is joining the race again as a poverty. Fayemi, who addressed a mammoth crowd in the state capital, appeared on a white polo bearing his name and the ruling All Progressive Congress. He blamed the incumbent governor, Ayodele Fayose, for the level of poverty in the state, accusing him of not maintaining people-oriented policies. Still ahead, Nigeria concludes Commonwealth Games with 1 gold. Voters in Montenegro goes to the poll for presidential elections.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories insurgents want to control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to enter the day of face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today, or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria.
Thanks for being there. In sports, Team Nigeria concluded events at the Commonwealth Games in Australia with 1 gold, 3 silver and 1 bronze. The country effectively dropped from the 8th position it held on Friday to 9th. In all, Team Nigeria carried away 9 gold, 8 silver 6 bronze medals, making them the second highest ranked African team on the medal table behind 5th place South Africa, who have 13 gold, 11 silver and 13 bronze. The next African country on the medal table is Kenya, which occupied the 13th position with 4 gold, 7 silver and 6 bronze. Host Australia emerged winners with 75 gold, 55 silver and 57 bronze, with England 42 gold, 40 silver and 41 bronze, and India with 25 gold, 16 silver and 18 bronze, coming second and third respectively. Team Nigeria won their first medal at games on Monday, courtesy of the table tennis men's team, who unfortunately lost to India 3-0 in the final. However, it was Paralympics record holder Roland Ezurike who won the country's first graded 224.3 kg in the powerlifting lightweight category, with compatriot Paul Kehinde settling for silver with 219.9 kg. About the presidential election, the analysts say former Prime Minister Milo Dukanovic is expected to win after his party defied Russia and took Indonesia last year. The vote is the first since Montenegro joined the Western Military Alliance in December. It is seen as a test for Dukanovic, who favors European integration over closer ties to its traditional ally, Moscow. Dukanovic, the country's dominant politician, and his political party has ruled Montenegro for nearly 30 years. The outgoing president, Filip Vukanovic, is not running due to term limits. About 530,000 voters will choose between several candidates in the country. Dukanovic's main challenger is Mladen Bojanic, who is backed by several opposition groups, including pro-Russian parties. According to the polls, the 56-year-old Dukanovic could win more than half of the votes and avoid a runoff. That's been the AM News on Television Nigerian, a recap of the headlines. Nigerian Army arrests masterminds of Taraba crisis. Taraba government shocked over withdrawal of military from troubled areas. Voters in Montenegro cast ballot in landmark presidential elections. Remember, cast your vote, monitor it and safeguard it if you must make a meaningful political statement in 2019. I am Anthony Momondo. Good morning and welcome to a new day.